The real job is decision making, trade-offs, and clarity. So I wanted to test whether an AI could help with thinking, not deciding. Hey guys and gals, welcome back to Agile Chef. In my last video, I experimented with using a free version of ChatGPT as a Scrum Master assistant. Today, we're doing the same experiment, but this time for the product owner role.
Right, so I'm using a free version of ChatGPT again, and I start each session with a simple system prompt that gives the AI a role, not an authority. So I'm going to type it, I'm going to paste it in here so that you guys don't have to watch me slow typing. You are a product owner assistant. You help clarify product goals, refine backlog items, and explore prioritization options. You do not make decisions. Explain your reasoning briefly and use clear, practical language. So that's the prompt. I'm going to give it a scenario in terms of what it is that we're building. So I'm going to say we're building a payment gateway for a mobile app. And so I'm going to demo, excuse me, a backlog refinement. So yeah, here are a typical sort of early backlog items, and I'm gonna sort of paste those in, and they are user stories. They're a little bit vague. So as a user, I want to pay for my order in the app. As a user, I want my payment to be secure. And from a different perspective, as a system, I want to support credit card and PayPal. They sound reasonable, but they are a little bit vague, and they are quite large and a little bit risky. So here is the next prompt, and I shouldn't really be doing this. I shouldn't be putting two prompts all in one, but I'm going to do that and see how ChatGPT copes with it. So I'm going to ask it to help me refine those backlog items. I'm also going to ask it to improve the clarity, suggest some acceptance criteria, and flag any slicing issues. Right, so let's do that. Let's add that here. And let's go. Let's see what it comes up with. Nice, straight to the point. These are the right intentions. They just need sharpening. So the team knows exactly what done looks like, and wow, so it's going to give me the definition of done, hopefully, and what can be delivered step by step. I'll refine each item, suggest acceptance criteria, and call out slicing opportunities where things are a bit chunky. Fab. Okay, so first one is, as a user, I want to pay for my order in the app. Right, so refined backlog item. As a customer, I want to complete payment for my order in the mobile app so that I can place my order without leaving the app. Wow, fantastic. It's already tightened up that user story for me, so I'm already seeing value here, really. It doesn't just rewrite the user stories, it kind of highlights ambiguity, suggests clearer scope, and exposes where we need to slice vertically. And that's exactly the kind of prep a product owner should do before a backlog refinement session. And that might be done in a Three Amigos kind of scenario where you've got a tech lead and an analyst or somebody like that. Okay, and now it's explaining to me why this refinement. So here, that's that bit here. User, he's changed that to customer, or it. So user, customer gives a bit more context. Pay for my order is clarified as complete payment and explicitly states the in-app experience. Wonderful. So look at this here, guys. It's made the language that it's using, the AI is using, is more around sort of suggested acceptance criteria rather than here is your acceptance criteria, because it allows the product owner a bit of thought, a bit of room for thinking about things. And so here, payment can be initiated from the order summary screen. User can review order total before confirming payment, and successful payment results in order marked as paid and confirmation message shown to the user. And it's looked at the failed scenario as well, which is really good here. And slicing flags. This story is too broad if it implies all payment methods, all edge cases. Okay, possible slices. Pay using payment method only, example credit card. Happy path only, successful payment, and error handling as a follow-up story. Yeah, it's already added so much value here. And then the second one is, as a user, I want my payment to be secure. Again, it's refined the user story. It's made it a little bit more customer centric, and then it's given me a reason why this is why this refinement and so on. So it's given me all three user stories with acceptance criteria, a better written user story format, and it's told me why they've split it, why it has split it in this way, and so on. So this is really good stuff already. I'm really happy with this. So now I'm going to do a second demo. So we're going to look at prioritization. One of the hardest parts of the product owner's role is prioritization. So I'm going to give it a background, and then I'm going to tell it, I'm going to ask it to suggest some solutions. So I'm just going to copy and paste that in here and say, great. Now let's look at prioritization. And I'm going to paste these items here. Here's our backlog. We've got credit card payments. We've got PayPal, Apple Pay, payment error handling, fraud detection, payment analysis. And here are the constraints. We've got a small team. We've got a pressure to launch fast. Everybody's got that, of course. And strong security and compliance needs. Now, the prompt is now here's my prompt. Suggest 2 prioritization options and explain the trade-offs. Let's look at what it's going to come up with. Okay, first of all, fast launch with a credible payment core. So the priority order is credit card payment, payment error handling, fraud detection, payment analysis, PayPal, Apple Pay. And it's given me those in a sequence, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The reasoning behind it, this is good stuff. This option focuses on getting real money flowing as fast as possible without doing anything reckless. Love it. Credit card cover the largest use base and are usually the fastest to integrate first. Error handling is pulled forward because failed payments without clear feedback destroys customer trust. Agree there. Fraud detection is included early to meet security and compliance expectations, and analytics helps you see drop-offs and failures immediately after launch. So that makes total sense to me, to be honest. I'm very happy with that response. If I was a product owner, I would definitely be happy with that. Trade-offs. So you've got some pros and cons there. Pros is fastest path to a compliant product ready launch. Lower technical complexity early on. Easier to test and support with a small team. Fantastic. Now some cons. Users who expect PayPal or Apple Pay may abandon. Yep, good point. If they can't pay, then they might abandon their carts. Mobile first experience is acceptable rather than delightful. Right, okay. And revenue may be lower in some markets initially. So yeah, that makes sense. But we're on a tight deadline. We've got stakeholders breathing down our necks, and we've got to get an MVP out. So I'm happy with that. Right, option two. It's given me two options here, or is it three options? Yeah, no, two options. I did ask it for two options. Mobile first experience, slower but broader appeal. Okay, good. Priority order. Credit card payment, Apple Pay, pay error handling, fraud detection, PayPal, and payment analytics. Reasoning, this option optimizes for mobile convenience and conversion. Okay, so I've not actually first launch, and then this one's the mobile launch, and it's given me the reasoning. Credit card will still come first as a baseline. Apple Pay is prioritized early because it dramatically reduces friction on mobile. Error handling remains non-negotiable once real users are paying. Fraud detection follows closely to manage risk. PayPal is delayed but still planned. Analytics comes later, relying initially on basic gateway reports. Fantastic. So and again, it's suggested some trade-offs in terms of pros and cons, and a subtle but important observation. In both options, fraud detection and error handling are not optional. They just move earlier or later. Okay, analytics is valuable but survivable without in the first weeks. Okay, so we can survive without them in the first weeks, especially with a small team. Supporting every payment method early is the fastest way to miss your launch window. I agree with that. Yeah, unless you've got a different team for each payment gateway, and that introduces a different set of risks. If you want, next we can stress test these options against specific markets, define a day one compliance baseline, or turn one option into a sprint goal and sliceable backlog. Wow. I mean, this is just so powerful, isn't it? AI doesn't decide. It surfaces options. It gives us the risks by telling us what the pros and cons are, and in terms of it also shows us the consequences, which is just this is just so helpful. Literally in split seconds, the product owner could get on with more important stuff, like looking after the stakeholders and chasing up what the customer needs are. And essentially, it's not replacing the product owner. What it's doing is it's helping the product owner make a better decision. Wonderful stuff. Okay, guys, let's have a look at another demo. So for the next demo, I am going to do a product goal coaching. So this is something that most teams struggle with, the product goals. And the prompt is, I'm gonna ask it. Here we go. Let's have a look. I'm gonna say, let's now look at carving out a product goal. And the prompt is implement a payment gateway in the mobile app. Okay. Good instinct to pause there, thank you. Implement a payment gateway is understandable, but as a product goal, it's very solution heavy and doesn't give the team a clear sense of why this matters or when they're done. Let's reshape it. Yes, please. Why the current goal falls short. Implementing a payment gateway in the mobile app focuses on what we build, not what changes or users or the business. I beg your pardon. It focuses on what we build, not what changes for users or the business. It doesn't imply scope, quality, or outcomes. It is hard to tell when it has been achieved. Yeah, because I didn't ask for a SMART goal, or I didn't specify a SMART goal. Fantastic. Okay, good. Product goal option 1, fast, safe, first transactions. Okay, good stuff. Let's have a look. Enable customers to complete secure payments in the mobile app so the business can start processing real orders with confidence. Why this works: it is outcome focused, customers can pay, business can operate, leaves room for slicing, one payment method is enough at this stage, explicitly signals security without listing technical solutions. That's awesome. Okay, and what done roughly implies is at least one live payment method. Payments succeed and fail gracefully, meet minimum security and compliance standards. Orders can be completed end to end. Really happy with that. Okay, let's have a look at product goal option 2. Mobile first checkout experience. Product goal is provide a smooth, secure in-app checkout experience that lets customers pay in seconds using familiar mobile payment methods. Why this works: optimizes for conversion and user experience, aligns well with Apple Pay style prioritization, still outcome based, not implementation based. What done roughly implies is in-app payment flow with minimum friction, at least one fast mobile optimized payment method, clear user feedback through the payment journey, and security built into the experience, not bolted on. Wow, and look at this table here. Trade-offs between the two goals. This is really incredible. I was not expecting this, I have to say. This is really good stuff, and if I was a product owner working on this product, obviously this is hypothetical. Payment gateway is something that all most companies face. And if I was a product owner, especially if I was new to product ownership, this kind of data, this kind of AI tool is just so helpful to help me focus the team on what I want to achieve, and obviously manage upwards as well. Here we go. A useful coaching tip. Once you pick a product goal, you can sanity check every backlog item with one question. Does this clearly move us closer to achieving this goal right now? If the answer is eventually, or it'll be useful later, or probably doesn't belong in the next few sprints. If you want, next we can turn one of those into a sprint goal, map backlog items explicitly to the chosen product goal, or define exit criteria for saying payment is good enough to move on. Just say the word. I love this. Okay, so this is where AI really shines. It pushes the goal towards a user value and outcome, not just delivery. And the coaching is really fantastic as well. Right, guys, let's have a look at another demo. So this time what I want it to do is I want it to look at some stakeholder management. And so I want to prep with this information to manage my stakeholders. Okay, so let's say a stakeholder wants Apple Pay immediately. The team is worried about the security and risk. And so I ask it, help me prepare questions and explain trade-offs in simple language. Right, I'm going to paste what I've just said in there. Can you help me prep for managing stakeholders. And I'm going to correct my spelling mistake. And my prompt is a stakeholder wants Apple Pay immediately. The team is worried about security and risk. So what do I want it to do? I want it to help me prepare questions. Here we go. Help me prepare questions and explain trade-offs in simple language. Let's see what it comes up with. Oh yes, this is a classic PO moment. The trick here isn't winning the argument, it's making the trade-offs visible, so the decision is continuous. I'll break this into two parts. Questions to ask, so to slow things down constructively. And the second bit is simple, non-technical way to explain the trade-offs. Okay, good stuff. So if I was a product owner and I'm facing this problem and I've just put this prompt in, let's have a look at what it is suggesting. Questions to ask the stakeholders for Apple Pay now. These are not backlog questions. They help surface why Apple Pay matters right now. So value and urgency. What problem does Apple Pay solve for our users today? What happens if Apple Pay is available in 3 months' time instead of at launch? Is this about conversion, brand perception, or stakeholder expectations? So I really like this because it kind of puts the onus on the stakeholders. Asking these kinds of questions hopefully will give them food for thought and maybe some pause. And if they can sort of explain these scenarios to other stakeholders who probably also want their bit of the product out first, this could really trigger some very good conversations and potentially also gives the product owner a bit of space and a bit of time to get the most important things, value driven development out first. Evidence and impact. Do we have data showing Apple Pay increases checkout compliance for our users? Sorry, checkout completion for our users. Is Apple Pay a must-have for launch or a strong nice to have? Which users would be unable or unwilling to pay without it? Again, this sort of puts the ball in the stakeholders' court. They're the ones that are going to have to supply some information. They're going to have to supply some data and not just a hunch. And it might, again, buy the PO some time. Some scope control items. Would a limited rollout, example, one market or beta users, still meet the need? Is Apple Pay only acceptable before adding other payment methods? These questions keep the conversations grounded in outcomes, not opinions. Absolutely agree. Questions to ask them, security and risk. This helps translate technical concerns into decision-ready inputs. What specific risks increase if we add Apple Pay now? Which of those risks are launch blocking versus manageable? What extra work is required to make Apple Pay production ready and compliant? What would we need to deprioritize to deliver Apple Pay immediately? This turns "we're worried" into clear consequences. So yeah, this is basically saying, what are we worried about? What have the developers communicated in terms of, if we rush things, if we go for this, then, here are the risks that we're going to have to face. And it goes on to also say, explaining the trade-offs in simple language. Here are a few ready to use explanations you can adapt in the room. Speedy versus safety. Guys, I'm not going to read all of this for you, but I would really encourage you to use the prompts that I am using here and to try it out for yourselves. If you're enjoying this video, please click a like and a subscribe and ask me in the chat to send you the prompt sheet, and I would be very happy to do so. Right, okay, so let's move on, guys. What worked and what didn't work? So what did we learn today? AI works really well for refining messy backlog items. It does that really well. Challenging weak product goals, and I was really impressed by that, as we saw earlier. Exploring prioritization trade-offs, that probably, for me, that was the hardest bit, and I found the responses and the explanation super useful. But what didn't work so well? I think it did struggle with a couple of things, like real customer nuisance, organizational politics, making hard decisions, and that's kind of, you know, that makes sense to me, not making hard decisions, because I don't want it to make decisions for me. I want it to give me the information so I can make those decisions. Organizational politics is always going to be tricky, you know, and being an AI doesn't necessarily help with that, because there's just so much complexity with us human beings. And yeah, so what? AI, I think that the big sort of take for me is that AI will not replace product owners. You know, on the flip side though, it will replace product owners who refuse to adapt. And I think that's something to take away. If you use AI as a thinking partner, not a decision maker, it can make you clearer, calmer, and more effective, dare I say. AI doesn't replace judgment. You know, it's up to us to make these judgments, but it does replace blank thinking. Blank page thinking, you know, when you're just like, oh, I'm stuck, I don't know what to do here. It really does help in that way, and you should treat it as almost a partner or a good friend that you trust, and use it in the way that I've just showed, guys, in terms of prompting it to respond to certain things. So here's my call to action to you. If you want to try this yourself, I've created a free product owner prompt sheet, including the prompts that I've just used today. Please do just sort of reach out to me, as I said earlier, click a like, have a comment, and I will reach out to you and send you that PDF. So thank you so much for watching Agile Chef, where Agile meets real life. See you in the next episode. Cheers.